This is another edition of IELTS Speaking Part 2. What we're going to do today is go through how we actually arrive at our answer, the things that we put in place to get our answer. And we're also going to be looking at some Part 3 questions that are attached to this Speaking Part 2. Today's cue card is: describe a good law in your country. You should say what it is, how you know about it, who it affects, why you think it's good. So there are the 4 things that you've been given. Now, I believe that you should always add more questions, and you can do this by practicing. Read more about different topics so you know a broader range of ideas about that topic, so you can think of more questions. I've added some questions that are different from these ones. I've added when, where, how long, and I've added another who, because this has 2 sides to it. There's a who for both sides. Often there can be a when, where, what for both sides of a particular thing. So I've asked when this thing was introduced, because it's a law. If you don't know, make up a date. Where it's applied. Most laws are applied across the whole country, but this could be only in a certain area. How long has this been in force? It's kind of the same as saying when, but this time you can use present perfect. So you could say it has been law since, or it has been applied for so many years. So it's a chance for you to use different grammar. Who introduced it? Usually that is the government. So there's some extra questions I've added. So if you put all these things together, you can see that it gives me more things to talk about. Now, if you're not a great talker and this part of the talk is quite difficult for you, this is my suggestion: add more things so you've got more things to talk about. Yes, you can make shorter sentences, but at least you won't have the worry of running out of things to say. This is what happens to most people. So let's look at the answer. My country, like many other countries, has many laws in place which govern us. I'm going to talk about a law which I think is a good thing for all drivers. This is the seatbelt law. Seatbelts have not always been used by drivers, but about 30 years ago they were made compulsory in the UK. Whenever there is a major change in legislation, the government launches a series of TV ads so the whole country knows about it. I remember the ads were all over the TV, so it was impossible to miss them. This law affects all drivers and passengers in private cars and vans. At first, it only covered passengers in the front, but after 10 or so years, backseat passengers also had to comply. This has been in force for about 20 years. It is a national law which affects all countries in the UK. Like most rules, it was introduced by the government. I believe that it has contributed to improved road safety and the reduction of fatalities across the country, and along with other safety measures has made driving safer. Okay, so that's what I've written. You can review this. The things that are highlighted in yellow are the expressions, good expressions to use, and vocabulary relevant to the topic. You must always try to give vocabulary that is very relevant to the topic. That's what the examiner's listening for. Some of that vocabulary I've listed here: legal vocabulary, laws, govern, law, made compulsory, legislation, comply, national law. Things about safety: improved road safety, reduction of fatalities. Fatalities means deaths. Safety measures, driving safer. And I've also given you an extra section here which is relevant to the part 2, in case you're wondering how to answer subsequent questions. This is about a law, so the questions related to this on the cue card are mainly about police. The police are the ones who enforce the law, so several of the questions are about the police. So I've chosen a few. What kind of people can become police officers? It takes a certain kind of person to perform this role. They must have certain qualities such as a good understanding of the law, patience, honesty, integrity, and above all, good social skills. Officers have to deal with the public on a daily basis, and people want to trust in them, so honesty is an important characteristic. If the police are not honest, then who can trust them? Do you think that both men and women can be police officers? Why not? They both have the basic characteristics you need, but they have different strengths. Men have the physical power to deal with violence, whereas women are more persuasive, can reason more, and diffuse situations. There are no good reasons I can think of why both can't do the job. Is kindness the most important quality of a police officer? I wouldn't say it is the most important, but it is right up there. They can demonstrate kindness, but also have to be firm and resolute in situations, and be able to adapt. Kindness is a major part of interaction, and it is a valuable attribute to have. So there's just a few examples of part 3. Some of the answers, the first answer is quite long, or long enough. The last answer, this one, is a little bit shorter, but still, nevertheless, it gives your opinion, and it talks about one particular attribute, which is kindness. So you're talking about whether it's important, and whether and you also compare it to other attributes. So this will be a shorter answer, but have a practice these. I don't like to use the word memorize, but practice them and use most of the vocabulary, and practice the structure. Think about the topic, and as I always say, there'll be more of these to follow, and thank you very much.